Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Upload. Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4, The Funeral, and The Sex Suit.
Yes.
You know, Paul, I had a really difficult time figuring out what those titles mean. I looked at... There's an old 17th century poem called The Sex Suit. And I thought, well, maybe it's connected. Okay, no. We could just say, hey, the one's about a funeral, one's about a sex suit.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys for episodes 5 and 6. No, so just to give you the opening and closing here. We open with Nathan preparing for said funeral, his own.
Yes.
While watching on TV. I guess, you know, it's interesting that TV is in the real world, and also the digital world gets to watch TV as well. So they're watching a groundbreaking new scientific thing, the first potentially successful download.
Yes.
Which, you know, obviously Nathan's been uploaded. So he took a real person, uploaded him into digital afterlife. Now they're going to try to take a digital afterlife and re-upload it, but download it back to a real person. In essence, creating immortal beings, as they put it. That was one of the things. What does this mean? Well, it means we'll be functionally immortal. Anyway, so that doesn't go well. But that's what's happening at the beginning of episode 3. At the end of episode...
Did you recognize Rupert Tilford?
I did not. Who was Rupert Tilford?
Creed Bratton.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Yeah, a little cameo.
Creed from The Office.
Yeah, he did. It didn't go well for him.
No.
Yeah. So your head explodes when you upload, and apparently your head explodes when you download. Either way.
Yeah, I remember. I felt like I was slightly confused or curious about that process in the first one. But it's not like shocking that his head explodes to anyone. Like his mother tells him that, "Oh, your head exploded," and he says, "Oh, okay, my head exploded." And you know, I'd seen this episode before, but didn't completely appreciate the fact that they cloned the body in order to, so you know, perhaps his head exploded too, and they just took his cells to clone his body.
Ah, you're saying the world's first download guy?
Yes, Rupert Tilford.
Okay. Oh, good point. Okay, you're right. I didn't think about that when they were saying it, but okay, that makes sense.
But it raises the question I think I posed last time, but it's certainly one that I've had for a while, which is they couldn't back him up.
What's also
I wonder if it's like some kind of law or something that says that you can't have a duplicate because you don't want two people the same running around. I guess.
Good point. There could be some legal mumbo jumbo behind it. What was funny to me, and it's a comedy and it's being played for laughs, but it is the idea that you would just do that live. You know, like
yes.
This is an untested thing. It's never worked. Never worked.
See if it works.
Let's just film it and everybody watch what happens. Oh God, it went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but
I think they'd be like, yes, we've tried this a few times. Why you had to be the first? You know?
Yeah.
Or, it's like, or we can record it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Maybe a 7-second delay. You know, just do like
seconds.
Just do like a radio. The FCC guidelines. Oh, we see some blood. Go, 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 go. So yeah, that doesn't go well. But then we end episode 4 with the cousin Fran, the amateur sleuth, seeing some security tape footage of... I say tape. I don't think they have tape. Anyway, whatever. Security footage of Ingrid. Looks like she's tinkering with Nathan's smart car, which we know crashed and shouldn't have. And so the implication being Ingrid screwed with the car to kill Nathan. We don't know that for a fact, but that's the implication we get as we come away. I'll give, I think her name is Fran. Fran, the cousin, I'll give her some credit, right? She is not an actual investigator, but she's doing pretty well. I mean,
she's not doing badly.
She's figured out that Nathan was not dying at the hospital. It's like, no, he was actually, his stats were starting to go back up. And she figures out that the car had lost its memory. And when she talks to Nathan, he's like, yeah, I don't remember much about that. She picks that up right away. Oh, just like the car. Yeah. So anyway, good on you, Fran. You know, I don't know. Maybe she's in danger, considering this is some kind of master conspiracy. But the funeral. Start with that.
Yes. Yeah, let's do that.
We see, you know, it's kind of a fun little futuristic take on what it might be like.
Yes.
If you could witness your own funeral from this digital afterlife. And so to see him behind essentially like a giant TV screen. Yes. And he's watching the people. And then there's like the people who weren't invited but still are interested. They get to watch from the church. And they're like, they have a live feed. Well,
I think, who knows? That's a good question. I mean, yeah, it's like, I think those are just different locations. Because they say, you know, New York, and that's not where they're, you know, so it's not like, oh, I'm in the church down the street or anything, or a different part of the city. They're in a different city.
Okay, well, I mean, for instance, Nora goes to this other location,
right,
to watch. You know, I thought that was just kind of the overflow room. Yeah,
yeah. They say different, like in New York, what's going on.
In other words, you feel like there were multiple.
In another episode, in order for Nora to meet Ingrid, she has to travel.
Oh, okay. God, I just assumed they were in the same city. Okay. No, I guess there's no reason for me to think that other than that. Okay, awesome. Good to know. So the funeral happens. Ingrid has done all the preparations for it, but obviously she's incredibly narcissistic, and
yes, she is. That is obvious. One thing that you know, you can I can nitpick about in terms of the creation of his character. I mean, this setting kind of a wide range that he could be engaged in. And you know, to someone who is superficial as Ingrid is, and they did kind of set up that he's good looking, and you know, he's come from modest means, and so perhaps he's let it go into his head a little bit. So I guess that kind of makes her and him matched on that level. But we don't really get a sense though of his other, you know, of his exes actually, and why those relationships didn't go for very long.
Yeah, they all seem to be.
They all have a very positive
opinion, right? They weren't like
hate each other.
Screw that guy.
You know, they all get along, and they don't, you know, they're not very catty or anything.
Right. I do have a theory. I'll get to when we start talking about the mystery. Okay. Part of this. I've got this idea that it maybe plays into what we don't know about Nathan. Okay. So, funeral. It's all about Ingrid. She even has a thing about, it's a very special day. Nathan thinks, of course it's because it's my funeral. And she's like, that guy who was downloaded. And there's a very dark moment when she like, you don't like what I'm doing for you? Then I'll just whoop, whoop, whoop. She brings up the thing. I'll just delete you. Yes. Which I assume means I'll just poof you out of existence.
That's the way it sounds.
You know, and...
which it doesn't speak so well of him that he'd just be like, you just said that.
Yeah, well, as we see, he does not have feelings for her anymore. I mean, by the end of episode 4...
He certainly starts to say in the next episode that he doesn't feel the basis of the relationship exists anymore.
Right. He said, like, I was kind of in it for the sex, and now that I've seen her away from the sex, I don't think I want the sex anymore, because I'm like, oh, God. This. And I think the biggest exhibit A to that was that moment when she's like, oh, really? Whoop! Let me just delete you then. And so that threat... It was like, oh crap, because later in the Vogue interview he says, like, she pretty much controls everything I do, she owns me, and she's like, oh, you, but yeah, he's like, he gets it. I have no power in this relationship, and this is kind of scary. It's kind of a dystopian, oh God, what have I got myself into? Yes. At the funeral, you know, he's got friends-ish there, but one of the friends hits on Ingrid pretty hard, and she uses that as a threat? Ugh.
Yeah,
gosh, it's obviously terrible. They should not be together. We get that notion, but which also I'll say this. I mean, I don't think it's even that much of a theory to say they're going to break up, and when they do, what does that mean for him in the new world, in this world where he can't pay for anything? I mean, that seems to be that's what it's setting up. It's like, I can't be in that cool penthouse anymore. Anyway,
well, I would caution you to be aware of how desperate she is to reconnect with him.
Okay.
So in the second episode, whatever, when she doesn't, when she sees the suit is disgusting, but she's still committed to doing it, and she's like, okay, this stuff is past now. We can still connect.
Well, there's that one line, I think it's in the second episode as well, when he says something. They have some kind of a disagreement. He's already in the other world, and she says something like, well, it doesn't matter. You can't go anywhere anyway. And like,
she said,
in other words, you can't break up with. You are impossible to break up with.
Yes,
and so,
yes, right.
That's.
She said, it was the first time that she said she loved him, and he was like, we never said that out loud before. Were they engaged before, or was she just sort of hinting that that's what they?
I think they were hinting at it, because remember his friend was saying, next she's going to be asking for marriage.
Yes, right. So so she was like, hey, and he was, well, I don't know. So so his death sort of sped the relationship up in a way, and so the fact that she's willing to do that, though, and at some expense to her, although at this point we don't know how much of an expense it is.
Well, tell me this, because you watched the season. I've only watched the first 4 episodes. Without saying what happens, do we get a resolution? I mean, there's season 2 coming. It has been renewed for season 2. So, do we get a resolution to the mystery, or is it carrying over into season 2 with like,
the mystery about the things behind his death is not resolved by season 2.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. We learn more about her and her feelings of him and their relationship, but not. So that isn't completely resolved. There are things that we learn more about it, but
if I had to, like, just from what I've seen with 4 episodes, what I would guess, and I guess
Matt?
I'm gonna Matt some. I'm gonna Matt Nathan. I bet Nathan gets killed in the first episode. Oh, look, hey. No,
I guess you're already a matted Fran, so.
Okay, good point. I'm not 100% on Fran, but she is just, hey, let me go play around in this really dangerous environment and ask a bunch of questions and piss people off. Like, okay, Fran. But perhaps it seems like there's 2 forces that don't, at this moment, seem like they're connected, that both maybe wanted some reason to kill Nathan. One is this cabal of upload folks or whatever, like, hey, your software is going to ruin us, so kill him. And then the other would be Ingrid, who perhaps just sees the idea of uploading him as a way to control him. And like, you know what the perfect boyfriend would be? A guy who looks hot, who, he can be the guy, my arm candy, and he's completely in my control in the other world. So what if I kill him and then he signs it way over, then I'll just control him. And so for her, that's what a relationship is, maybe. And so maybe she beats the computer people to the punch. They were gonna kill him. They didn't get the chance because she did ahead of time, did their work for them. I don't know. That's just a thought. But I guess we don't find that out.
I hear that thought.
Okay. All right. Hey, man. So, okay. Oh, one of the other things about the funeral episode is that we see Luke.
Yes.
Obviously, he's lonely, and he wants to have a friend in Nathan.
Yes.
And so he has the same therapist, the dog therapist, and he insinuates himself into Nathan's funeral.
Yes.
Nora is obviously growing in her affection for Nathan. We see that.
She's told by exes that she is his type.
Good point. And she, obviously, by the end of episode 4, there's this incredibly awkward scenario where Ingrid gets the sex suit, which is funny. It's this giant, diver outfit or something. She's in a bathtub.
Yeah.
But in the digital world, she's in a nightie, and she's trying to be flirtatious. And she thinks that the reason they can't have sex is because, something technologically is broken.
Yes.
It's not. He doesn't care for her anymore and doesn't want to have sex with her. So she's like, "Oh, we need tech support."
Yes.
And you're like, "Da, da, 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 da." But tech support is Nora,
Yes.
who reluctantly shows up. She realizes,
Yeah. And then uses momentary absence of Ingrid to flirt with Nathan and accomplishes the task.
Tech support works.
Yes.
Then later she has a sexual encounter back with the same guy that gave her a 4 stars before.
Yes.
And she kind of imagines that she's having sex with Nathan. And so
she's able to which I don't
get
know
5
if
stars.
I've had a lady boner before, or at least not quite this way. So she was able to satiate her lady boner.
Oh, that's right. Good point. Yeah, so we see that they are certainly becoming an item, and obviously that's a problem because we do have this thing of Ingrid pays for everything.
Yes.
So the other huge development that happens is, and I think the reasoning for this is that Nora has seen this footage of Nathan trying to sell his app, and there's this guy that comes out of the company's like, "Oh, don't sell it to anybody else. We want your cool app for uploading."
Yes.
She first of all she contacts that guy and just like, "Hey, what about whatever happened with that upload?" And he's like, "How did you find out about this? But just so you know, I was mad because they didn't take my offer. They didn't take me up on it." And I couldn't tell which one. It was unclear who broke the deal, but it sounded like maybe it was Jamie, the friend, but I wasn't 100% sure in that moment. One of the two broke off the deal with this guy. But
Right.
but maybe the more important point at the moment is that Nora knows that information, but I don't think she tells Nathan, who at this moment doesn't remember that. So I'm like,
she's still collecting information at this point. So
okay. But she hasn't filled him in.
Seen her. She hasn't seen him since she's had the conversation about that. Really,
well,
not in a way where she could have that conversation.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because she takes him down to this 2G level.
Right.
Right. And I think the reason she does that is she's trying to get him to remember that, oh, you probably were creating this app because you were interested in, getting rid of the hierarchy of uploads. So here I'm going to show you this inequity. Maybe it'll jog your memory about the fact that you used to make apps about this. Anyway, that's what I got out of it. But I felt like you could just say, you were working on an app that would. But okay, she hides that information. Maybe I don't know, company policy.
I think she just hasn't. I know she just hasn't talked to him about it yet.
All right. So the 2G level is very sad.
Yes, incredibly sad.
It's like, woo! People have X amount of memory.
What he says is that it's just code, which is true, but, there's processing power, maybe take some sort of processing power, maybe that's just electricity in the processor you bought or whatever, but I don't know, processing time, that's not nothing, I feel.
So these are people that have the base rates. I don't know, like.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a group of people that can't get in. They could get in.
The way it sounds like a cellular thing, since it's like gigs or whatever. So it sounds like it's like a cellular account or something.
Or maybe there must be some subset of people that had money going in, and now their money's run out. And maybe, do you just
perhaps so?
Yeah,
but they sound like that's more to explore, I guess, in terms of
I just feel like if you didn't have the money
available,
if you didn't have the money to start with, you just wouldn't get in, right? I would think so. These people somehow got in, but are in the basement.
I mean, it's a very basic level. I mean, one of the things we see is kids in there.
Right. And there's the kid who runs out of.
Maybe one of the things that they're dealing with is like, okay, well, the kids are there, but we can't really join them yet. So maybe, we keep them on this low plan until we get there.
Sure.
Of course, there are older people too, though. So.
Yeah, but so what happens is, for instance, there's a kid who runs out of memory in the middle of like showing it. He's like, da, da. And so like until the next month comes up when his plan gets renewed, he's just stuck and he's gray.
Yeah.
And he's just like, whew. So the afterlife is a basement that you experience for maybe 5 minutes per month.
For them, yeah.
Like, yikes. Anyway, so it's hellish, basically. And so she shows him that. He's very concerned about it, very passionate about it. She actually likes that about him, that he's like, no, this is wrong. I need to do something about it. He actually asks to go back because he wants to do something to help these people. There's the guy who's turned a lean cuisine box into a phallus of some kind.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Okay, I hadn't thought of that. That's a new one for lean cuisine.
Another thing we learned at the funeral is that this show occurs in 2033.
Oh, right. Yeah, we thought about that at the time. I was like, we were wondering where this happens. Okay, so it's not. It's in the near future.
Yes.
10-ish
he was born in
years.
2006.
Right. Uptown Funk, gonna give it to you. Also, we do see, like, for some reason, at the funeral, they're like, here's your memories.
Yes.
And they show some of the, like, why would you show that at a funeral? It's a comedy. Yes. That's why they're showing it.
That's true.
But it's just like, who selected these? Was that Ingrid?
It's the thing that occurred to me is, like, so she talked it to the guy who gave the eulogy. He could have talked to the guy who died. She didn't even bother to talk to him. They could have, here are your memories. Maybe he could have selected them, randomly selected.
Yep.
Like, It's stuff. If people were actually dead, you might do.
The fact is, Nathan is alive and he's standing right there.
Yes.
It would take you 5 minutes. Hey, here's a couple of clips. You want one of these? No, not that one. But nope. The other thing that was interesting was this his grandmother, great grandmother? It was some member of Ingrid's family. Yeah.
Yes, that was Ingrid's grandmother.
Ingrid's grandmother. So the grandmother's attending the funeral of her potential grandson, I guess. To be. It's kind of interesting, the generational thing of I'm dead. I've been dead for years, but I get to witness your funeral. So one of those memories, though, is it seems like it's from the part of his memory that's been erased. It's like somebody put something in a box or something, or I don't know.
I felt like it was somebody looking at him after the accident, but.
Okay. I mentioned I had a theory about what we know about Nathan, but as we've talked here, I've kind of talked myself out of this theory.
No?
But I'll say it anyway, just because I had it. I had this theory before we started talking. I was reminded, actually, what makes me think this theory was probably not true is that we do see evidence that Nathan is truly seems to be passionate about wanting to help, say, the lower classes, or like altruism in some way. But I was thinking perhaps what we find out is that he wasn't such a great guy in the past. It's just that his afterlife has changed him, and so that maybe he died he was attempting to. He was the guy who was not going to sell the product. He wanted to he was going to sell out essentially.
What gave you that impression?
Well, I mean, it's either he or Jamie. They're going to sell out, and then I just thought to myself, it would be an interesting twist if it's like he wasn't always a good guy, but we've seen this change in him. He's not the guy that he was before, and because also that's the that kind of guy, the guy who sells out for a big paycheck. Maybe he's the same kind of guy that might marry Ingrid, for instance. It's like So that guy's like, what the hell? Give me the paycheck. So anyway, and it maybe now to show a character arc.
Total Recall.
Like Total Recall.
Where the version of Schwarzenegger who had his life erased is not a prick. Like the real Arnold Schwarzenegger who everybody knows and misses.
Exactly. So I feel like that might be an interesting way to go. Obviously, since you're talking about it like this, it sounds like that's not what's happening in season 1, but maybe that's a season 2 thing. where we learn more about, oh, yeah, he wasn't a prince back in the day. He, we already know he wasn't perfect. He was Prince. Who we know is still alive in the counterpart other world, so everything's fine. Counterpart reference. We've got, Nora, Nathan coming together. Nathan, Ingrid drifting apart. There's these 2Gs, the 2G floor, 2 gigs, I guess, 2 gigs floor,
2 gigs
that
floor,
Nathan is now very interested in, and the inequities with that. We see Luke is, becoming the friend inside, and Nora's obviously the friend outside. And we still haven't heard from Jamie, and Jamie wasn't at the funeral. Right. I said that guy was, there's,
one thing that his mother tells him when she asks about the money, and he didn't show up, that there wasn't much money because the
sale didn't go through.
He didn't complete.
Yep. All not well with his best friend in that way. So, I don't know. Those are the general thoughts. I like some of the silly things that were added. I like the fact that the download that didn't work was sponsored by Oscar Mayer Intel.
Yeah. Yes.
Doing great things with meat. Like, oh!
Yes.
We're all just big pieces of bologna, essentially. It's like, it's all the same. It's the same. That was good. So,
I like that,
things like that.
It was Google Motors that is responsible for the car, so that's what... potentially the lawsuit would have been against Google Motors.
Fran has the conversation with the worker arm.
Yes.
It's like, I'll just wait for a human. 300 hours, whatever. She talks and she's like, it wasn't 300 hours, you stupid. I like her conversation with an arm. That was good.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a fun show. It is clever. And I'm enjoying it more and more as I watch it, and I do like the relationship that's evolving between Nora and Nathan.
You still only tolerating the murder aspects, mystery?
Yeah, I mean they're spending a little more time on it, so I like the little clue dropping that they're doing. But I guess it kind of depends on the resolution of this. And you mentioned it apparently doesn't get resolved in season 1, so maybe I have to wait for me to decide whether I like this or not. Okay. It seemed a little tacked on in episodes 1 and 2. It seems a little less tacked on in 3 and 4. Yeah. So I'll say it's moving in the right direction. I'll put it that way.
Okay. So, it's a part of it's a part of the story. So yeah. The more they show, obviously, the more you can see how it's a part of the story.
At the heart of it, the reason I think to watch, if you're a sci-fi fan, is it is giving this a fun view of what this kind of a situation, what this kind of future might be like, and it's very watchable in that way. So
even though there are times when they sacrifice what might be believable in that world for the joke.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, back in the episode 2 when what was it, cigarette smoking man? I forgot. Oh, Choke is shooting at Nora. And you're like, what? Where is this coming from? They play golf in this one, and there's that point where Nathan's like, is this fun for you? It's like, his point was, you know what? I had a purpose in life, so now I'm just enjoying the afterlife. I don't know that necessarily means like I had a purpose in life, so now I can never be bored. Like I think you can be bored still. I think that's a thing. But anyway,
although he established in the the 4th episode there that how he spends his time, he's just fine with. So when he's golfing, he can pull people out from the dead. What kind of deal? Oh, right. That?
I'll take it. Which the joke was, I have an Arnold Palmer. You think it's going to be a drink, and instead it's actually Arnold Palmer showing up, and then clapping for him. So anyway, that was funny.
That he eventually fights.
Oh, okay. I don't think I saw that.
That's what they said. No, he mentioned that.
Oh, yeah.
So at that, he fights him.
We probably will not see Choke in the 2 gig level, although maybe that's a fun counterplay at some point where he has to. His hell would be, oh yeah, you're still here, but now you only have 2 gigs of data per month.
Well, something I think they subtly express, like that he likes to shoot, the angels, or humanoids anyway, rather than ducks. But then he says that he spends more on endangered species sandwiches than he spends.
Oh yeah, good point. When he's like, oh yeah, you can pick whatever club you want because yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's still living that life.
He's definitely in the mold of Montgomery Burns.
Right, Mr. Burns. Ahoy, hoy. Anyway, so yes, an enjoyable show. We'll be back talking about episodes 5 and 6.
Yes.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it, sir.
Welcome back.
Fun as always. Indeed. Awesome. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.